After New Zealand took control of the game on day 2, it's time for Ask George. Well, George, what did you make of today?
I thought it was a more normal day of Test cricket, to be honest. I thought that what we saw from New Zealand was some really competent batting, and that's not meant to be faint praise, but because we don't see it very much, it seemed extra good. But I think that what New Zealand did today was really competent, and both sides probably didn't show that competence with the bat yesterday. I didn't think anything was the matter with England's bowling, and I think in the field England are terrific.
Well, on the subject of England's bowling, Johnny Lubbin asks, does Parkinson's pace concern you? His first-class record is outstanding, but it looks like batters have so much time to pick length and negotiate each delivery.
Yes, to be honest. I'm sorry, it does. It really bothers me. Worries me, rather. There's a lot to like, though. There is quite a lot to like about him. The drift is fantastic. It's a thing of great beauty. That will always mean that he is asking questions because, you don't need the pitch to be involved for that. He's pretty accurate, and I think he's a fighter. He is bowling on a day 2 wicket, having just been called up, just driven from Manchester. So the preparation wasn't ideal, and I wouldn't want to judge him harshly on this. But yeah, that is an absolutely legitimate question. And you saw that the batters were able to adapt. They were able to go back in their crease. There was a ball near the end where he was turned for 4. It looked real easy. And quite a few times, they came down the wicket and made fine balls, really, into full tosses. That's not the end of the world, because there'll be days when maybe his deer push drift deceives batters, and that's how he takes wickets. But yeah, he is quite slow, and I wonder, I'm pretty confident that Adil Rashid and Rob Key have had a conversation now, and I think it went reasonably well. So, let's not judge him yet, but that is an absolutely legitimate thing that in the question that the pace is a bit of a concern.
Laurie asks, from what you've heard, is there a realistic possibility that Moeen Ali will reconsider his retirement from Test cricket?
There's definitely a possibility. If I were to put money on it, which would probably be deeply inappropriate, I would suggest that Adil and Moeen might well be in Pakistan.
James asks, how impressive has Potts been? Where does he fit into the bowling stocks, injuries notwithstanding?
I don't see how he could have done much better, really. I think there's a lot to like with him too. So again, let's just be realistic. Let's be honest. There aren't really obvious weapons. He's not massively quick. He is not particularly tall. So there's not incredible bounce or pace or anything like that. But he is strong. He's got stamina. He's got persistence. He's accurate. I mean, it seems that you could give him the ball and he will bowl, just back the length and off stump all day. Well, that's not a bad skill. It looks like he's got heart, stamina, a bit of skill. There's quite a lot to like. Where he fits in? Look, in a great bowling age, in the age of, the 2005 Ashes attack, he doesn't get a look at. Maybe if everyone's fit right now, he doesn't get a look at. If Archer, if we ever see him again, if Mark Wood, maybe even if Liam Norwell had been fit, he wouldn't have got an opportunity. But the fact is, he's taken 6 wickets so far. He has hardly bowled a poor ball. He's got Kane Williamson out twice. He's certainly not letting England down. I think there's a lot to like there. And I don't mean it to be faint praise. Just don't expect him to be Glenn McGrath. But I think he's a good bowler. And interesting, if Ollie Robinson and he were fit tomorrow, who would you pick? Can Ollie Robinson? I think probably has a bit more skill. He's got a bit more height as well. But he's clearly really struggling with his fitness. And I don't know. Who would you pick right now? I don't know the answer. But what is good is that England have found a guy who won't let them down. Looks he has the character, the temperament, the skill to do a decent job, and that's got to be a good thing, eh?
Crickety Me asks, what are your views on Ben Stokes' captaincy today?
Pretty positive. You've got to be careful not to judge by the scorecard, but there are some things that I really like about what I'm seeing with England right now. One of those things is every time the ball goes to them and they shoot at the stumps, they hit it. Every time. But they didn't hit the stumps for years. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. They didn't hit the stumps for more than a year with their throws in the field. So I think that they have done it 4 or 5 times in this match. Well, that's a change. I think they've caught every chance that's come their way. I think they've shown really good commitment in the field. I thought we bowled fine. You know, they've got 2 senior seamers who have a combined age of something like 75. And the pitch eased out a little bit, and the ball, after it was new, went flat, a bit soft. But these things happen. And 2 New Zealand batters who did well, who, as I say, were competent and compact and just sensible. So could he have used Parkinson from a different end early on? I mean, he could, but there was logic in what we asked about this at the presser. He bowled him from that end because it wasn't turn-in lot, because it's a second-day wicket, and he thought it might, both with his drift and it might skid on, that it was a completely reasonable decision. I'm not positive that the way he used himself was perfect, but having said that, he bowled a little spell of bouncers. There was a mishit top edge, just over mid-on from Mitchell. You know what, another day that could have worked, and we'd all said, oh, Stokes is a captain who makes stuff happen. So, you know, you can't just judge on the results. And I think I see positive things there. Again and again, I'm going to come back to the same thing and say 141 in the first innings. That's the problem.
Amardeep Singh, I think, shares your view. He asks, after all the talk about aggression, are we back at the fundamental problem with English Test cricket in that they cannot bat?
I mean, the short answer is yes. And actually, it's probably just the right answer. And while some charismatic leaders can make them, and I don't say that patronisingly, charismatic leaders can probably make a quicker difference with the fielding, because it is more about attitude and commitment and relaxation and all those words. I think it's more difficult, fundamental changes to batting, because you're often talking about technique. And I'm not sure just telling people that they're great and everyone believes in them is actually going to mean that their bat and pad are closer together, stop them pushing at the ball and all these sorts of things. So, yes, the batting is a substantial problem. And if you didn't know it before, Brendan McCullum will know it now.
Felix Dos Santos asks, has anything really changed?
It's a really good question. And I don't know that it has. Look, some things have. Contradict myself straight away. Some things have definitely changed. The fielding looks better. That matters. It was one of the problems. So that's one thing. If you're making the most of the chances that come your way, you've got a much better chance. But, you know, the fundamental things, the fundamental problems in English cricket, the fact that there's a schedule that doesn't work, that the international schedule is crazily busy, that too much is asked of the best players, that the championship has been pushed into the margins of the season, that the pitches and the balls used in England are not really like anywhere else in the world. Yeah, those things are substantial problems, and just appointing a charismatic leader won't change them. So we have to be aware of that. And it annoys me a bit that anyone would think that, oh, you know, just change the leadership and everything will be all right. I think Ashley Giles got it spot on about a few days before he was given the push, when he said at the end of the Ashes tour, look, you've got to look at what's gone wrong. You've got to look at the fundamentals of what's gone wrong and not just sack me and the coach, because otherwise you get to another Ashes tour in 4 years and you'll do the same thing. You'll sack the captain and the coach and just hope that a couple of new leaders will change things. Well, they won't. You've got to look beyond that. And to be fair, there is supposedly this high performance review going on, and hopefully they'll come up with some decent answers. So has anything changed? A little bit, but it's pretty much around the edges. I don't think you could have expected Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes to do any more than they have done at this stage. I've got no criticism of them at all. You know, the problems in English cricket go deeper than Chris Silverwood and Ashley Giles, you know, firing them. I'll say that again. The problems in English cricket go much deeper than firing Ashley Giles and Chris Silverwood could even touch.